Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today we're coming back with another keyboard, and this thing is huge. You guys see this thing? It is the Gravastar K98 Pro mechanical gaming keyboard, 8K and everything, wireless. This thing is gonna be an out of the world experience keyboard, and I say that because specifically, as you see, the alien design. We're gonna have to see how does this keyboard compete, especially with the pricing that it is with the other boards out there. See how this is in terms of performance with me gaming with it and see my thoughts on it. So let's go straight into the unboxing, but please make sure to like and subscribe. Now introducing the Gravastar K98 Pro. Now Gravastar has a very unique design scheme that they do with all of their keyboards, and I gotta admit, some people may like it and some people might not. It's one of those things where it's going to be a little bit more of one way or another. Like, it's going to be a seesaw, and there's not many, I think, mids. Now, overall, this board is actually quite cool. I have to admit that it is a very interesting board. Now, in terms of their unboxing experience, I think Gravastar does a really great job with their whole packaging. It really does feel like you are getting your money's worth in terms of the packaging. They do put a lot of effort into it, and you can really feel and see that they are trying their best to make it a little bit more of a higher end experience with all of the stuff. Now, in terms of what's actually inside of the packaging, so with the accessories, you get an extra keycap. This is going to be an extra space bar. I think this is great touch because I think this one looks a lot nicer and it'll look cooler on the board as well. And also, I just like PBT more than PC. I don't think PC is great. They also provide you a cleaning cloth, which is awesome. Keycap puller, switch puller, which is really great as well. A nice braided cable, and I do think though that they should have did USB to C, but that's just my opinion. I think now all boards should really come that way. You also get the extra dongle, which is going to be a USB dongle adapter, which makes it just longer, so you can put a cable and then use the dongle for Wi-Fi. And you also get some extra switches, which they are making their own mechanical UFO switches, which I'm very curious how it's going to sound and feel. You also get this brush for cleaning. I think this is another great addition. This is something that, it's hard to get sometimes the crevices of your keyboard, and it's nice to use to clean it as well. Now, they do provide a manual. It's very small though, so this is something I think is just very, very small to look at. Now, to take a look at the actual board itself. So keep in mind, this is an alien themed keyboard, and it really does match that whole design scheme completely. Like, it looks like a UFO ship. I think this is really cool, and they have this really cool legs here. This is actually one of the most interesting features I thought was part of this board, is having that be part of like the way to change the angle a little bit, but the type angle only changes very slightly. It does weigh 1.5 kilos, but let's hear it. So going into trying to take it apart, it's actually not possible. I would think if I had to do it, it was gonna break something. For some reason, the top part is very easy to remove. Like, I removed every screw. I don't know if it was a hidden screw that I missed in terms of the teardown, but on the bottom side, I could not get it out no matter what I tried. Like, I really put a lot of effort into trying to pull it off, and it wasn't really coming off. Now, as you can see here, this is gonna be a really flex cut board. Like, a ton of flex cuts everywhere. Now, I really do wish I could have measured the plate and the PCB actual thickness, because this board kind of feels very firm, right? Like, even though it has all these flex cuts, it doesn't feel like it's flexing as much as you think it would with this kind of cuts. And I think it's specifically because of the plate they're using. It's supposed to be an FR4 mixed with the copper mixed in there, and that in itself is actually very interesting. I haven't seen that really happen before, where it was like a copper mix, and that also might be the reason why this board in general has a little bit more of a dead end sound profile. And these switches as well, guys, I couldn't lube them, so I tried to open them up, and I was trying to figure out like what was the best method. So because of the way that this switch is shaped, you actually cannot use a switch opener to open it at all, because it doesn't fit with the switch opener. Like, you can see it right here. the actual clips don't line up at all with MX switches, and that's something that I think is not a good feature. They really should look into kind of fixing this whole mold so that it really can match up, because I can't really take a look and open it. This thing does come with plate mounted stabilizers. The lubing on the backside is not so great, but then if you look on the inside, it's actually very heavily lubed. So let me just tip it for you guys to really see. So it does have a lot of lube in there, but one of the things I felt with the lubing is that it has too much lube inside, so that's something to note as well. And as well as the spacebar has the silicone dampeners in there, which I would highly recommend removing them, because if you have them in there, it sounds so deadened. So I will recommend that. I'm gonna change the spacebar, give you guys a comparison, and also different switches. So I want to give you guys a sound comparison with a different thocky board so that you guys can get an idea like how it should sound with this board. Now, in terms of the decibels, it's not too loud of a board. It does have a decent decibel, like it can go up to a 70, which is kind of loud, but usually sticks around the 65. Now you do have the screen here, which is actually decent. It's not the most worst screen I've seen, and you can easily control it with the knob that they have there. And also the lighting wise, it is actually quite bright. You get the really cool lighting from the front and the sides, and then you also have lighting all throughout every single keys. The brightness is actually decent, not crazy bright on the keys, but the sides are super bright, for sure, very, very bright. And overall, really comes to a nice thematic look to it. I loved making it look green because I think it really matches what this board's meant to be. And even the legs have lighting as well. And overall, the actual build quality of the legs is really good. The back is also very well themed, and it also has a spot for the USB dongle, which is awesome to see because not every board for some reason has it. And the back doesn't have lighting, which I think is a little bit of a downside. I would have loved to see them actually have lighting there. Now, in terms of the typing feel, these switches feel a little bit too hard. Like this whole board with this switch really makes it feel like when you're hitting down on the key, it's way too heavy. Like it almost feels like I'm hitting a wall when I'm typing on it. Now, the board does go for $260, but currently on sale for the pre-order at $247. Now, it does come with AK. It is a gaming keyboard, guys, so keep in mind that this is really meant to be a gaming keyboard. It has dual AK, so you're supposed to get AK scanning as well as polling rate, and then you're going to get all these dampenings inside of the board. Now, you can see here, this is going to be the screen that comes with the board, and it does have all these extra features that is really great to see. So you can actually change the polling rate on there. You can use the media keys on there if you want to through the actual screen. I think the media key controls is a little bit of more of a hassle to do, because I think most people who want to use media keys probably want something that's right there instead of having to use a screen and go through all the settings before you get there. Now, you also do get the choices to control the side lighting on the actual screen itself, so that's a little bit of a plus. But there are certain features that the screen has that I think isn't super necessary, and maybe a little bit more work than just actually having shortcuts on the keyboard itself. Those are things like the media keys, the volume keys, things like that. I think people would just prefer to have it automatically set so that it works on the board. Now, one thing really interesting is that it does have profiles. So even though it's not a Hall effect keyboard, there is a profile available and you can change the profiles with the screen. So overall, really interesting, but I think a little bit gimmicky in terms of some of the features that you can use with the screen. I think they could have just simplified it and just made it work very simply without having to go through many different settings. Now, in terms of the feet, as I was saying, you do get 2 different typing angles with this board, but the typing angle change is very, very minimum. You don't really get a ton of change. It does have an 8,000 mAh battery, so the battery does last quite long, but if you are running your keyboard at 8K wirelessly, just keep in mind, it is going to use up a lot of battery. Now, as I was saying, it has a FR4 copper plate, which is very interesting. I think overall, I do feel like the work they put into the feet to make it light up is also very quite interesting as well, and very well done. Honestly, the whole board just, I really appreciated the extra details. Now, in terms of software, you can just go into the website, go into the software section. There is a special one for the K98 Pro, and you can actually click in there and it will lead you to the site. Now, this is a web app, so that's something that's nice as well. And now this is the interesting part, right? Like, you do get this software, which is a little bit more basic, not crazy. To be fair, it's not a Hall effect keyboard, so you don't really have to have it to be like that, but it's also nice that you get a lot of different RGB controls, and you can really see here all the different effects. So you can do different key lighting, so the backlighting, and then you can also even do the side underglow, which is awesome, and choose the colors there as well. I really appreciated every little aspect of it and being able to change the cool stuff. Now you can also change this loading screen, so that's the one that I had on the board. They do provide a couple extra ones, and then there's custom sites so that you can actually make something yourself and then upload it onto the keyboard. Just keep in mind the uploading time for these does take a while, so it does take some time to upload. Now, in terms of the actual profiles, it's kind of interesting that there was profiles, but then you can't actually bind it in terms of, say, layers. So that's something I found kind of disappointing. But then at the same time, I'm like, it's a mechanical keyboard. Why do I really, really need profiles for this? Now, you do get the advanced keys, so they're supposed to be SOCD, which is going to be interesting to try. And then we have the polling rates here available in the settings, and we're going to test out to see. So right now it's set at 8K wired, so we are plugged in wired, and we're testing to see 8K, and you can see the big numbers that we get because their scanning rate's probably actually higher, even though it's supposed to be dual 8K. Now, in terms of changing to 1K, does it actually change to 1K? And then testing it out, it does. So this is a nice thing to notice, is that this board can actually change between 8K, 1K, 4K, that depending on, say, your computer specs, you might want to be using something a little bit lower because 8K might be lagging or causing issues or bugging out. Now, in terms of wirelessly, so wirelessly, I plugged in the USB dongle, and as you can see here, where I actually installed it, it was nice to be able to easily grab the USB dongle from the back of the board. Now, I was trying to test out the polling rate here, and when I first was trying to set up the polling rate, it seemed that it was a little bit bugging out, like it kept staying at the 1K, and then I wasn't sure if I was changing the settings correctly on the screen, so that's something else that I was trying to do. And then I actually had to go back in the software, kind of refresh and reset, and then see that the USB actually, a notification came up, and then it finally worked. So we're able to finally get it actually working by refreshing and then seeing it update on the actual screen. So with that, we finally test it out, and then we'll see that it actually works with getting proper 8K. So after we've done those tests, now the biggest thing to test out is the SOCD and how does it work in game. So you can see here I brought up Valorant because this is pretty much the game that's going to need it the most. Now, Apex Legends I didn't do because, again, Apex Legends requires the very specific rapid triggers for me to show you guys the super glides and things like that. But over here we can just test it out. So you guys saw I wasn't actually continuously moving for the strafing, but with the SOCD you can see it's continuous movement. This is a benefit in general for Valorant players or CS players, and I think this board is actually going to be a lot better for CS players because CS, I heard, is actually banning HE users, and if that's the case, then this is probably going to be the type of board you want to use because you still get like these features. I'm sure they're going to still ban SOCD though, but if it's not banned, then at least you're able to kind of use it with a mechanical keyboard, which is going to allow you to do a little bit more comparatively. So With an 8K gaming keyboard, you're going to have a faster keyboard for sure with lower latency. And as you can see here, like the movement here kind of bugs out even almost in terms of Valorant because of how quick the changes are. And it was quite interesting to see actually. I don't know if anyone else has ever experienced this with like the movement of Neon like that. Because you saw there like how it bugged out for the side movements, and I thought it was very interesting to be able to kind of see that kind of bug movement. Obviously, the board does work quite well, and you're able to send skills quite quickly. Now, with the pricing considered, what would I suggest that might be a little bit cheaper? Well, that would probably be the DP104. Overall, this is kind of expensive, but it does have an interesting theme. Now, where do I feel that the Gravastar lands? Well, it's a unique keyboard that has a very cool theme to it. It's got a lot of machining work that has been done, which makes sense why it's going to be more expensive than some other boards out there. You can obviously spend less money, like 50 bucks less or more, and get yourself like a tick type DP104, depends on sales. This board definitely does stand out though more in terms of the design aspect. You're not going to get an alien ship crazy theme like this and other boards out there. The fact that it has 8K, it's good for gaming. It's gonna not have Hall effects, so you can't do rapid trigger, but it can still perform well enough for you and majority of people to game with and just stick out on your desk compared to say some other stuff out there. This thing is gonna be cool in that aspect. Not everyone's gonna enjoy it, but I think there's gonna be a lot of people that do really think that this is a cool board that they can take a look at. Now, I would recommend probably waiting for a sale or using a discount code to be able to get this board, because definitely can hit your wallet really hard, especially with the economy how it is now. So I'll have the links in the description. Go check it out for yourselves. Hopefully we have my code that's available or another code for you guys so you can get a discount for it. Please check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.